Hi, Schlockmeister fans. We're going to watch the original Mondo movie. This one's called Mondo Cane. Let's watch.
All the scenes that you are about to see are real. We're shocked as they were taking place. If sometimes they seem cruel, it is only because cruelty abounds on this planet.
Our film started out showing looked like a statue of Rudolph Valentino with a bunch of people who look like Valentino, and then I have no idea what's going on here, but this guy's... Next thing we go on the other side of the world, we see a bunch of natives running around, throwing sand. Here we got some buxom babes teasing some Marines, I guess. And we're treated to a pig roast. I believe this is Papua New Guinea.
More simplified than the killing. Around here, cooking a pig means scorching it slightly here and there. The carrion's belly is still swollen with entrails.
Here we have ourselves a pet cemetery.
But the country where pity for dogs surpasses the limits of common imagination is the United States. Bread, chosen...
Then we contrast that to someplace overseas where they eat dog.
According to ancient and complicated recipes to please a vast category of connoisseurs. Restaurants like this one, where the clients can choose the most appetizing puppy. On the other hand...
Here we see a Vic Tanny gym circa 1962.
We're in Los Angeles.
With some clients who were born in the 1800s.
Famous health clinic specializing in remodeling women. Here come hundreds of American women.
On an episode of Leave It to Beaver, Beaver called this the jiggle machine. I guess in the early 60s, people thought you could lose weight by doing this.
It's been calculated that for every 100 snakes put on sale, at least 50 are discarded because they're considered absolutely inedible. For many hours a day.
Here we have tree fish.
Taken to the trees.
Kind of a cool scene, an underwater cemetery.
Mutilated by the voracious fish.
People who've been attacked by sharks.
On the beach. They'll sell them to the rich Chinese.
Yet they're still in the shark trade. Now apparently a shark ate some boy that day, so they decided to get even with the sharks by capturing them, sticking poisoned sea urchins in their mouth, and then letting them...
Hard to forget.
Then they take us into a pub somewhere, and we see drunk people.
A sense of death.
Then we follow the drunks outside, where I think these two might be peeing in the street. I believe this person just puked. And these two are fighting. Then we're taken to some sort of Japanese bathing place where the women bathe you after night drinking. And a dead man being made up for his funeral.
Appearance than to the sum of his virtues.
And then we go to Stephen Avery's junkyard, where we see the art of the car crushing. We see about 5 or 6 minutes of this, where some of those become art pieces in Paris.
In Paris, in one of the most important modern art galleries, we recognize the remains of an old Ford.
Here we see some women
the music inspires.
Body painting.
Covering themselves with paint are the human brushes with which Klein will give form and color to his creative fever.
While horny guys watch them, they are then used as paintbrushes by other blue women. And they make art. And we see a cruise ship circa 1962.
Thirsting for romantic experiences and impatient to face unknown adventure. Kind ladies not to feel jealous.
And they all get laid.
Signs of affection the lovely Hawaiian girls will give their husbands.
That's L-E-I. And we're treated to a hula lesson for the masses. I don't know if this is Pamplona or not, but we have ourselves a Running with the Bulls, and that poor guy's getting gored.
About a month later.
I don't think this guy fared too well either. And one of the last images we see in the film are a bunch of natives, again on Papua New Guinea, I believe, who witness a plane taking off. Alright, let's talk about Mondo Cane. It's a movie that came out in 1962. It was it was basically the first shockumentary, the first Mondo type film. It ushered in a whole new era. A couple of years later, there was Mondo Bizarro, Mondo Freudo, two films which I've actually reviewed a few months ago. It's basically a show which showcases different cultures and weird things across the world. We see stuff like animals being butchered, but mostly for food, like snakes being butchered, cows being butchered. We see strange native rituals. We see some women who are painting their bodies blue, body paint really, and then they're using their bodies as paintbrushes to create art. Just all kinds of weird stuff here. We see some soldiers fighting. We see some people running with bulls in the street. We see some bullfighters. We see some people get gored. We see we see some dead people, like in a morgue or getting, printed up. We see natives in Papua New Guinea doing weird things and, I don't know, just strange things from across the world. Like I said, it ushered in a lot of other things. Now, this is the granddaddy of them all, of these types of films, and the ones that came after it were probably much more shocking. Now, I looked up a lot of the stuff that I saw in here, and I've read that some of the stuff may have been staged. However, I don't think most of it was. I think most of it was legitimate stuff that actually happened. Everything that I looked up, anyway, turned out to be real. But there's a lot of stuff in here that really isn't all that interesting, if you ask me. I mean, they show some women in Australia who are like lifeguards, lifesavers, they call them. It was a real group. I looked them up, but I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff in here where there's just not... Maybe it was interesting in 1962, but it didn't seem all that interesting to me now. It's a movie I've had on tape since about 1989. My fellow Schlockmeister Jeff actually copied this for me onto a tape, but I never actually watched it until just now. It's one of the few films from back then that I haven't seen. I know my dad actually mentioned to me that he saw this in the theater, I guess 1962, when he was a teenager. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. This movie runs about 1 hour and 47 minutes, and there were some times where it's just kind of dragging along. It's not all that interesting. There's a few nude scenes scattered about here, but most of it is like native nudity, like you'd see in National Geographic magazine, something like that. Yeah, and there's some butchered animals, or some bloody animals, but it's not quite like a Faces of Death type of thing, nor is it like some of those weird shockumentaries that came a few years later. But again, I think this is legit. Now, they did make a Mondo Cane 2, which I also have. This actually came from this little thin disc here. Came from a box set I got. Features Mondo Cane 2, Uncle Tom's Cabin. I think Africa of Blood and Guts is in there. It's like an 8-disc set. Now, I'll put a link down below where you can just buy Mondo Cane by itself. I think Blue Underground put this out. You can get Mondo Cane for about $9.99 on Amazon. This box set, I think, will cost you about $50, $60, $70 or so. It's a pretty decent box set for stuff like this. But yeah, anyway, I didn't think this movie was all that interesting, to be honest with you. So maybe Mondo Cane 2 was better. I don't know. But it's kind of like I said, it's kind of long, too. It just kind of drags on and on, kind of like I am right now. But anyway, if you're interested, you can purchase it at the link down below. And anyway, let me know what you think about this movie if you've seen it. It's called Mondo Cane. Leave some comments. We'll discuss it. Watch it. Bye.